Look at this wonton soup. Looks so good. Hi guys, these are the ingredients that you need to make wonton soup. You need ground pork, you need shrimps, raw sesame seed or roasted sesame seed, Napa cabbage, bok choy, sesame oil, and all the other ingredients I'll show you as I'm making the wonton soup. To make wonton broth, bring 6 liters of water to boil, 1 mature chicken, 200 grams of daikon, 1 large onion, 1 tablespoon of salt, 1 tablespoon of chicken powder, 1.5 tablespoons of brown sugar, and 2 tablespoons of fish sauce. On high heat, set the timer for 10 minutes. And during the 10 minutes, we can scoop out any foam that's floating on top here. After we cook it on high heat for 10 minutes and you scoop most of the foam out, now we can add the white part of green onion as much as you like. I put 5 here. Ginger is optional. I have 3 slices. Now we can lower the heat to medium heat and cook it for 1 more hour. To make the broth more clear, you can scoop out any scums that are floating on top. For the Napa cabbage, you only need the leaf part to put into the meat. I like to put Napa cabbage into any type of meat filling, especially for wonton, because Napa cabbage have this soft texture. They can blend into the meat and will make the meat texture more softer. So you only need the leaf part, and for the stem part, you can put it into the broth along with the bok choy. You don't need that much, you only need a bit. Sometimes when I put the Napa cabbage leaf, I put more than this. This one is about 1/2 cup of Napa cabbage after you mince it. And you just have to chop it into smaller pieces. You don't want to waste a good shrimp like the large one. So this one is small shrimp, size 50-70. So it's a really small shrimp. And you can cut it into little chunks. You want it to be this kind of texture, a little bit chunky, but not as small, not too big, not too small. In here I have 500 grams of lean ground pork, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of sugar, 1 teaspoon of chicken powder, 2 teaspoons of sesame oil, 1 teaspoon of oyster sauce, 1/4 teaspoon of ground pepper, finely chopped green onion, 2 tablespoons, finely chopped Napa cabbage, 50 grams or 1/2 cups, 250 grams smaller chopped shrimps, 3 cloves minced garlic. And if you have light soy sauce, you also can put 1 teaspoon as well. For some reason I ran out. If you have light soy sauce, you also can put in here as well. But light soy sauce do not have much flavor. That is why if you don't put it, it's okay too. And a little bit of ginger, just a little bit. For the sesame seed, you can put the raw one or you can put the roasted one, but I use the raw one, 1 tablespoon. 1 teaspoon of cornstarch, 1 egg yolk, and 8 white for sealing the wonton. Combine all the ingredients together until the meat texture is sticky. Okay, now that the meat texture is sticky, and after that we can start to fold the wonton. And for the wonton wrapper, I like to use the really thin kind. This one is called whole 8 white wonton wrappers. Really thin kind. For this 2 package, you can make lots of wonton. Normally I use egg white to seal the wonton, but my sister said that you don't need to really use the egg white, so now I only put the egg yolk in here. Instead of water, I like to use egg yolk so it can bind all these ingredients better, but you also can use water, and for the egg white, you can use it to cook something else. This wonton wrapper is not big, so you only need 1/2 teaspoon of wonton filling, and after you kind of just pinch them together. You don't need any liquid to seal it because the wonton filling has moisture and they just stuck together like that. Put together and just pinch. It doesn't have to be that perfect because they will stick together. Since the wrapper is really thin, you can easily pinch them together and they will stuck together. After you cook it on medium heat for 1 hour, you can take out the chicken. And for the broth here, really flavorful. If you like to add some more water, you also can add more water as well. And adjust the salt and sugar to your own liking taste. This wonton broth is ready for us to use for wonton soup. Tastes so good. See, now that the water is boiling, I'm going to put the strainer. And for the wonton, put it on the strainer. Cook it about 1 minute, and after 1 minute, I'm going to transfer this into the wonton broth. I'm only cooking here just to rinse out the flour. Before you transfer the wonton into the good broth, make sure your broth is boiling because you want to continue to cook the meat. You don't want the meat to be waiting for the broth to be boiling. That way it will make the meat texture is not as good. So make sure that the wonton broth is boiling. After 1 minute, shake off all the water and you're going to transfer it into the good broth. Right away, you're going to put into a boiling broth here. This is the wonton broth. The reason that I like to boil the wonton in the boiling water first for 1 minute is to rinse out the flour. So this way, the flour that on the wonton wrapper do not thicken this broth here. And after I put the wonton in, I'm going to put Napa cabbage, the white part, and also this bok choy. On high heat, you're going to bring this to a boil about 3 to 4 minutes. And after that, this wonton is done. Look at these wonton. This wonton looks so good. After cooking the wonton, now we can cook the thin egg noodle. Only take 2 to 3 minutes to stir it for a couple minutes, and after just take it out. So I'm going to make wonton egg noodle soup. After a couple minutes, we can strain out all the water and put it in here. And using the same water, I'm going to cook this type of egg noodles. This type of egg noodle, the thick kind, it takes 5 minutes. If you only cook it for a couple minutes, it's going to be really hard. That is why you need to cook at least 5 minutes. 5 minutes is the perfect time. For this cooked noodle, so they don't get stuck together, you can put some garlic oil in here, or normal oil is okay, but put garlic oil so this way it smells good. And that's it. Put it in here and save this basket. I'm going to strain the other noodle in here. So when you're ready to eat, you can take out some egg noodle and put into your wonton soup. And with this one, after, just pour it in here. Rinse it out with cold water a little bit. And look at this one, because if you don't stir it in there, you don't separate them while you're cooking the noodle, they can get stuck together. That's why you have to stir them. And just rinse it out a bit to get rid of the starch so they don't get stuck together. We can put it alongside this egg noodle. I like to cook it this way if you have big family. This way you don't have to keep on cooking the noodle, right? That is it. To make a bowl of wonton egg noodle soup, you need wonton soup, you need egg noodle, any type you like. You can use a small strand or the thick strand, some fried garlic, and also some cilantro and green onion. With this wonton here, when you see the wonton is cooked, you can turn off the heat. And if you're going to only eat the wonton, then you can scoop it out and eat it that way. But if you're going to add some egg noodle, make sure you turn this off and set it to a side. To make a bowl of wonton egg noodle soup, you just scoop the broth in here, only the broth, not the wonton. Bring it to a boil, the broth, and what we're going to put next is our noodles. And for the noodle, I like the thick kind. I'm going to wait till the broth is boiling. That's when I add the wonton. When I eat my wonton egg noodle soup, I want the broth really hot. Because if it's not that hot, it's not that good, at least for me. It looks like it's about to be boiling. Now I'm going to add this wonton in here. Okay, add some vegetable in here. When I see it boiling, I'm going to turn off the heat. Now we can pour it in here. We can add some cilantro, some green onion, my homemade fried garlic, and a little bit more of sesame oil. Now this wonton egg noodle soup is all done. This chili oil, you can use it to dip your wonton. My chili oil that I made the other day. Let's put some chili oil on here. Spicy.